Hello and welcome to me from 9. I have decided to do this because it's quick, easy, and I cannot be asked with editation. And behind me, on the screen you can see, is the Raspberry Pi all hooked up and lovely. Sort of started the C program just for the hell of it. See? I'm actually becoming a bit of a programmer. I'm bored. Let's program something. Let's program the Raspberry Pi because it's fun. And then sort of do what I usually do. Attention goes to something else and voila. For example, the VFD clock which is currently running down. Let's see if we can get a nice shot. Multiplexer driver circuit is being drawn up. I did say all this on the other camera, but I'm lazy when it comes to video editing, I'm not going to lie. Why? I put effort into other things, like my electronics. Just video editing, when you do it kind of all the time for YouTube video, you don't want to have it always really hefty. Unless you're one of those who likes making it hefty. And all that lovely jazz. Let's stick the telephone on charge too. Just pull out the charger out of the work bag. Because I went to work today. Yep, New Year's Eve and I went to work. Because, well, there are those of us who have to keep various services running, while others just get to enjoy them at a leisurely pace. The old supermarkets don't stock themselves up. So Jim Bob can do some last minute New Year's dinner, shopping or whatnot. Actually, mostly in the supermarket today was parents with kids, fuck off with your tail, Todd, because you'll break the VFD clock again. It keeps breaking it. Here he is. Oh, you can see him on camera. Oh, Toddy, head up, head up, head up. That's a good boy. You sit there like that. Look, Toddy. Look, there's you. You're being broadcasted to the internet. Actually, I don't really want you licking my face. You were licking your arse earlier. Lovely, soft, furry thing. Love this dog. And he's all drooly and horrible as usual. But yeah, the old supermarkets. I completely forgot what I was rambling on about. And so he leaves me. Let's unplug the Dremel because I was using that earlier. There we go. That can just sit down there and charge away. Good old Dremel. I like you, my Dremels. It's a lot of fun. Sounds like a dentist drill too. My mum doesn't like that sound. It brings back too many bad memories. Whereas I just love this thing. You can even replace the brushes. They're actually made in Mexico. Decent little tools these are. You don't need a battery powered one. This one doesn't run battery powered. Unless you're going to have one that you sling in the boot of your car. Unless you're like some contract builder who needs to like sand down a surface or something. Although a Dremel, unless you're doing like small surfaces like the skirting boards or something, details in the skirting board, I wouldn't use a Dremel. I'd get a full size sander. But for the details on the skirting boards, then yeah, I'd use something like this. They're actually quite well equipped. I need to get the Wi-Fi set up on the Raspberry Pi. That will require a bit of research on exactly how to do that. And I can telenet it within the network, and we should have decent connection speed actually. It should be somewhat faster than what we get at uni, but due to USB 2 transfer speeds, you're limited to about 10 megabits per sec. So all these 150s and that offered by USB, you don't get that. I know you don't get that. In fact, you don't get that much transfer rate over a USB. Be nice if you did, but you don't. This is looking a bit plain. Scratch my head. Yeah, I finally figured out the multiplexer stuff for it. All I've got to do is build the multiplexer. Actually build it up off the breadboard. It's all on the breadboard. Actually done a little video of it. Remove the original driver transistors, which are now put away, so I can't show you one. It's a transistor. Just like any other transistor set there from the 70s. 4011BE to invert the signals. What is it? 4017 to be your little Knight Rider light style. Sorted. Beautiful. Works a treat. Absolute treat. You could not ask for more. But this is the sort of stuff that just brings me complete joy, just playing with it day after day. It's like the perfect sort of leisure thing to come back to. You do like day at work and then you can just chill out to the electronics. Stick on some music while you build something. Perfect. Absolutely brilliant. Couldn't ask for more. And also, for all those of you out there, Happy New Yearies and all that lovely jazz that everyone seems to say. I remember the 2000, year 2000, that New Year, that was fun. We got to stay in a nice hotel in London. And I tried oyster and absolutely hated it. I didn't swallow the thing whole, I cut it in half and ate a bit of it. Blech. Need to try again, might like it as an adult, or I might just find it just as revolting and sort of like go to the nearest sink to spit the remains out. Well, actually toilet, because then you can flush it away, it just gets stuck in the drain in the sink, which wouldn't be fun for the poor cleaner. At least with the toilet you can flush it away. EU. Are you telling me for Wi-Fi adapters they have separate bloody standards now? For depending on where you are in the world? Jesus! If that's the case, that's fucking worse than region locking out on the DVDs. Because you kind of want to be able to use something like this if you take your laptop abroad. You know, you want to connect to the internet and the hotel's Wi-Fi. What? Oh, I really hope I am misinterpreting what this means on the side here. I really do hope it, because if I'm not, that is fucking appalling. Right, yes. I do have a whole load of shout-outs, but I'm currently too lazy, or too tired to be honest, to fulfill them. So, Raspberry Pi! Yeah, this is a fun little computer. Need to play around with the GPIO port, it'd be quite fun to make it control things around your room. More than just flashy little lights. Actually thinking about it, wire it into my Franken box, wire it into the BBC, wire it into just about every system there, that it can turn each one on depending on what, build a little C program, and then have it that I can switch everything on and off with just commands on the keyboard. Wouldn't that be fantastic? You like type something in and it's like the command to switch it on. That's awesome. You just have your Raspberry Pi on, then it controls the relay board and turn everything on and off. I love that idea. I've got to try it. Right, I need to start figuring out what I need for that, because that just sounds pure fun. and potentially dangerous as it is, because there's actually a 240 volt board. You can get the Pi to do the control relays that control mains power devices, things like the BBC. That's no problem. It's got a big old power switch on the Amiga, PlayStation 1 and that, no problem. PS2 going to need to also add a little soft power pack. That shouldn't be hard. 2 wires, sorted. So it knocks on the relay, then it knocks on the other thing, and then on the other way around it does it reverse to switch it off. But yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? You just kind of sit here with your little keyboard. This is brilliant. There isn't much that is produced these days that I will go, this is brilliant. But this is one of the things. Because to be honest, a lot of stuff produced these days is just cheap crap. It's a shame, but it's true. And yet some of these gadgets which are just being released, which are just cheap crap, have so much potential. When you look at tablets, it's like, what is it? The one Steve Benway got for Christmas? Looking at the specs of that, that looks like it's about the same power as my old laptop. And I'm not talking about some old thing from 2000. I'm talking about I've actually got it out because I tried restoring it again and failed miserably. This, my Toshiba A100/200, 512 meg of RAM, a Centrino Duo 1.6 GHz CPU, what was the Intel chipset? It was Intel 80 something. I think I've got the specs written up here somewhere. Just bear with me. So I've got a whole load of stuff on this pin board, and I think specs of my laptop was one of the things. That just looks like one of some postcodes of somewhere. I'm trying to find my way somewhere. It's pretty normal. I've got a few things like that posted up. I can't find it. I can't remember what the chipset is for the graphics now. 800 by 6, 1280 by 800 display. Decent resolution. Not all actually a bad little computer. It's a shame it's completely and utterly dead. No life whatsoever now. If you plug it in, you get little LEDs. But good luck trying to get the thing to turn on. It just died on me, pretty much. It's a shame because I so wanted to get this thing working again. I want to pull something off a hard drive though. I do actually have the stuff to do that, so I ought to do that while I'm back, or take the hard drive back to uni so I can do it at uni. No life, nothing. The power button's been broken forever. Nothing's getting this thing to boot up again. It's dead. It's a shame. But then I can't bring myself to strip it down for parts, despite there being perfectly good parts in there, like the microprocessor, the RAM, the optical drive. Clean the optical drive on the laptop now. Actually read a disc. Now's the trying to read writable, so that might have been the problem. Might have just been as simple as dirty lens. Let's actually grab one. Here we go, your Ubuntu boot disc. Let's see what it thinks of this. What will it say to the Ubuntu boot disc? This will prove whether the problem was just a lens or not. I decided to try cleaning it, see what it'd do. And sometimes it is just dirt. And sometimes it is more serious, like a dodgy diode. It's at least trying. I can hear. Oh, it booted. Excellent. Now let's try another disc. The BBC MMC disc for the MMC card for the BBC Micro. Ah yes, the BBC Micro. I do like the BBC Micro computer. It is an excellent little machine. Alan Turing! There he goes. I have all sorts of random stuff in here. Oh yes, I forgot. I can do one video on the main camera. Burning this. Everyone's out. And I think we need some fire and flames. And I need to burn something. I haven't burnt anything for years. Oh, I miss the days when me and my best mate used to just burn McDonald's toys. With, you know what we're using? Deodorant can and lighter. Makes an excellent flamethrower and potentially quite dangerous. Ah, good memories. Excellent memories. That McDonald's poochie melting was the funniest though. What do you know? Cleaning the lens solved the problem. I don't know why I didn't just clean the lens yonks ago. That's the thing. Sometimes you think, oh, fuck, the disk drive is busted. Oh, what could it possibly be? Dirty lens, perhaps? That didn't cross my mind. Oh, there must be something wrong with the laser diode. It's got to be something complex. No, it's something simple. Just a bit of dust. A bit of dust blocking the laser. That's all. Well, at least it means I don't have to replace the disk drive, which is good. And all that lovely jazz. While the VFD clock runs happily here. Want to see it? In all shitty webcam quality. Look at that. The oscilloscope isn't as flickery on the webcam, which is quite interesting. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. In fact, it just looks like you're looking at a picture. Let's get your colours up of the actual VFD itself, don't it? A little counting. So it flicked to 4. Let's see it flicked to 5. There we go. I finally figured out how to build a multiplexer. That's such awesomeness. Seriously, this thing has taught me a lot about electronics. If you're into electronics, take on an ambitious project. Why? Because you will learn a lot from this. Because you'll go in there, you won't know all this stuff, and then suddenly you think as you do your research, I see how that works. Machine is saying we can do it with this, we can then get a 4011 BE, and then we can then use an inverter, but we don't have. But the only inverter NOT gates we have, these aren't actually NOT gates, if I remember correctly, they're AND gates. 7-port LSOI, I hope we can check that. Or we need AND gates for the multiplex, and we need to take as many of these chips as possible. Oh no, we can't find them all. This was actually a case. I know we use resistors and diodes. That method did not work out so well. So resistors and diodes don't work, and AND gates don't work. I remember I put that post there and someone suggested optocouplers. Let's try that. Try that. Works! A treat. That is the kind of thing you want. Be open to any suggestions. Suggestions from people are incredibly useful. Because it was like this, what was it? Some VFD project I saw on the internet, and they had a comment section I put about what I was doing. Well, and what I was struggling with, and someone came up with the optocouplers. I can't remember who they were, because I would say who they are otherwise. And, well, that was just a brilliant idea. Optocouplers are awesome. And they are relatively readily available, although you only find 1 or 2 in power supplies and that. You find a few in things like modems and mobile phones and that, so it's always worth salvaging those. Ah yes, the good old dial-up modem. Completely useless for going on the web these days, but really quite useful for things like optocouplers and whatnot. And yes, I'm currently just looking at other things on the internet. Let's find out whether these are actually AND gates or not. I need to test them because I just found them laying around at uni. So 74 LS00s. 74 L 900. And I believe, oh, they're NAND gates, not ANDs, NANDs. Except because they're 7.4, they'll probably be 6 volt max. All data sheets, these people do good data sheets. What we got? This one's made by God knows. This one was made in 1970, 52 week. This one was made in 84, 49th week. No. This one was made in no date code on this one. This one was made in 84, 49th week. Here we go. So let's see its max voltage. It's either going to be 5 volts or 6 volts. That's normally about the max voltage range of chips. Quad input NAND gate, so we could have used these for inverters, although they would have probably blown up. In fact, I'm half tempted to put them in the circuit and see if they do puff out smoke. Let's get down to tolerances. Yeah, these are max 5 volt devices. These would just go pop. These would be no good for this particular type of circuit. Not without adding a third power supply. There's already 2. I already need, because with VFDs, because they're a bit weird and difficult to drive, because you need, let's actually get some out the cupboard and show you what VFDs actually are. Because I love them, they're fantastic. Any sort of electroluminescent display I love. And dog's looking at something. Here we go, my box of VFDs. Okay. Go to that one. See, I was right on them being ANDs, but they're not ANDs, they're NANDs. So let's pull out a nice VFD. Here's the one that was off the cooker that I reverse engineered the chip for and blew it up. We even soldered up wires to it and everything. That was depressing, blowing it up. Very depressing. Yeah, but I learned something new that day. Be careful. Here's a good example. You might be able to hear the filaments inside. Not sure if you can hear that. But basically, with a VFD, I've even got driver chips in them here for them. Where's a good example to show you? This is reasonable. So if you look there very carefully, you'll see wires going along horizontally like this. Those are what known as the filaments. They connect to the pin terminals here, these two, and these two. Now they take about range from, really old ones take something like 1 volt, newer ones take like 3 to 5 volts. You have to be careful, they're easy to burn out by overvolting. 5 volts can be far too much for some. So always go by safety, stand about 3 volts I say. Then if you also look in there, you also notice that everything's covered by a front grille. That's known as an anode grille. Then under that you've got the segments, and then of course you can see the trays which link grills to the segments to the various pins. And of course they're all interconnected, so you need multiplexing. There are very few VFDs which aren't multiplexed. Now basically these work a bit like a CRT, because the filaments act as a cathode, so they emit electrons. Then what the grills do is they pick up the electrons, and then you apply power to the segments. But if there's just power to segments, with the grills in the way, the electrons will never make it there. They'll just get absorbed by the grills without power put to them. So, I'm not sure exactly, but they get drawn to the grill, which is active, and then to the segments, which are active. It actually does not take pretty much any current to light either the grill, the segments up at all. What does take the current is the filaments mostly. Always the way in these sorts of displays. Then of course they have a phosphorescent mysterium, which is normally a turquoisey sort of colour, but then you do get various other colours as well. Often filters are used just to make them not look turquoise blue for whatever reason. And I've got a box full. This thing is just cram-packed full of them. There's about, how many in here? There's this one, and the old cooker clock. And because they've got vacuum in, lots of them you can see like there, that little tin is where the vacuum was sucked out. Where's one with a nipple on? This one, the one that I just showed you, this one has a nipple on. That's this thing, that's where they basically suck out the vacuum. And that little black spot at the bottom there, that's what's known as a getter, and what that does is absorb any gas residue inside. They all have those in. Some have more than one. I've seen that before. Valves also use it. The funny thing is these are set out in the exact same way as a triode valve. And there have been people who have used these as triode valves and use them in amplifiers in like retro styled, because triode valves not so easily readily available, but VFDs, they are really quite readily available. Old video recorders, DVD players, anything like that, sort of media based stuff, video VFDs, fantastic. Although I think VFDs are outdating now, which is a shame. That'll be a display. Ah! I just hit the damn bloody blister on my foot against the chair. Ow. That hurt a lot. I've knocked that several times today. I'll be surprised if it's not bleeding, and somehow it's not bleeding. I don't know how that's happening. I honestly don't know. That hurts a lot. There you can see the little LED glowing in the tie. So yeah, that's how a VFD works. Wonderful technology. So we now know what these are. NAND gates, but can't take the voltage going through that circuit. So that's an LS, that's nothing. Some of these aren't either, some of these are just 7400. And they're all N's at the end. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I love all this. It just brings joy. And also I have to throw out a little thanks to Mrs. Knight for doing a little shout out type thing for me. I can't remember if I commented on the video or not. I don't think I did, because I watched it at like stupidly late o'clock. So afterwards I just went to sleep. That's the joys. But yeah, I say thanks for that. I always like that, and there'll be something. So, I have something planned. Basically, it's all right. I always have a rough idea. I say plan, but it's not really planned. It's just sort of rough idea type thing. My vintage calculator is now sitting up with all the other vintage stuff. Mum must have put it up there, moved it from my desk. You know, the Royal Digital one, the VFD one that I fixed. I think I showed how a VFD worked then. I'm not sure. No, I didn't. I just showed the internal workings of one. Now, if this was actually edited, if I was actually doing the circuit editing, I could overlay that footage on top. I should have just got down that VFD actually, so I've actually still got it for the day I'd explain how one worked. Yeah, I'll do it proper. I'll do a video based on it one day. We can throw in some more boring theory and maths and whatnot and whatever else. Sort of current ratings you can expect from the filament and that. It'd be quite interesting to measure the grill current and that actually. That'd be a good thing to do. That'd be a very good thing to do. How the hell have I rambled on for about half an hour? How typical. Thing is, while I haven't been uploading much over Christmas, I have been doing filming. Especially that. You know, that thing there. And of course it'd be fun to relive teenage memories with this. It's a mobile sim saver that basically doesn't do what it says it does. Well, it's a clock, but then it's battery hungry, so about 5 minutes later it's eating your battery. It really was a complete waste of money. Seems, oh, that's a nice idea, no. Good idea. Implemented, well, it wasn't really implemented at all. It's just one of those useless power. I have actually got a useless power-hungry alarm clock that like eats a battery within a week. It's like, why would they design such a thing? It looks really cool, but it's really shit. Why would they design such a thing? That's what doesn't make sense. Why would you design something like that and not have power management in? Give it a bad power consumption. Programming and hacking. Oh, this is a chapter that's definitely for me. Smell of new book. I love the smell of new books. Such a lovely smell. An epidemic is on us. People going to libraries. Youths going to libraries in hoods. Sniffing books. Many have overdosed. Scratch, that's a little like programming teachy tool thing. Hello World, yes, the Hello World program type thing. What's this? Introduction to Python. Indeed, one of the many other programming languages. I wonder if it's got like the basics of C in here. That'd be quite useful for uni actually if it has. So far it looks like we're on Python, but it seems to have a comprehensive Python in it, which is good. And in fact there's, looks like the example program is making a basic snake game. That's kind of cool. Alright, pretty good. Hardware hacking, yes, there's a lot. With the GPIO port breadboard, yep, we can link it up to one of these. Actually, it seems both my breadboards have burn marks in them from where I've blown circuits up in them. That pleases me, because a good exploding and smoking, or a circuit either goes bang or starts smoking, is evidence of success. Because at least if it's going to fail, at least when it fails spectacularly, it's entertaining. Like when I smoked my first transistor, I just sat there and watched it smoke. It didn't catch fire, sadly, but I just sat there and just watched it go. The trail just go up the room to the ceiling to where it disappeared off into nothingness. It was highly entertaining. Oh, Raspberry Pi's gone done something. There we go. Better. Oh no, I deleted that thing. I didn't want to delete the bracket. We've got soldering iron. Yes, I wouldn't solder stuff to the GPIO connector. I'd use a cable that I can connect it. LEDs, yes, they are common. Breadboard wires, yes, I want to get the cable connector so I can do some hardware stuff with it. Work stand or helping hand, yep, got a decent set of them from Maplins. They're floating around somewhere. Here they are. They've actually got a decent construction to them compared to my old ones. The magnifying glass is just sitting on the desk, and then we've got a resistor colour code. Ooh, they're always handy. Desoldering wick. I don't use desoldering wick. I use a solder stripper, but it all depends on your style and method, really, to what tool's right for the job. Really, I should have at least a wide range of desoldering options rather than just one. Work stand, multimeters, yes, multimeters. If you do electronics, you need a multimeter, and you can get them for dirt cheap, although the dirt cheap ones are a pile of shit, but that's not the point. You can get them for dirt cheap. Here we go, so back to where we are, hardware, okay. Let's read, multimeters. Just going around basics of a multimeter, basically. Professional multimeter units can be quite expensive, yes, a few £100. The simple models are fairly inexpensive, yes. And if you are getting started in electronics, I wouldn't say go out and buy a Fluke or Agilent, just buy some cheapy thing you're just going to use on battery circuits, and when you know you're actually interested in it, then save up and get a Fluke, which is something I'm yet to do. I just can't justify spending something like 300 to 400 quid on a multimeter. Online sources, yes, offline sources, sourcing components. Yes, it can be difficult to find components. Thankfully, people are quite wasteful with their electronic devices, so you can get a comprehensive amount of components over a number of years. Hobby specialists, if you can find them, they're bloody difficult to find. UART serial bus. What's this? This is probably another connector on there, isn't it? Because there is actually a second connector. And I've got the windy pops tonight, and my laptop screen's just blank. How fantastic. Calculating limiting resistor value. You're talking about Ohm's law. And of course, flashing LED. The most simple project you can do. Looking at it, it looks nice and simple. That'll be Python, won't it? You can do everything in the command. You can actually do everything in the command line in Linux, which is kind of cool. You can probably do it in Windows, but God knows how. I'm not that great with DOS, but I'm getting better because of Unix. And I know more than just one command. And of course, I know the networking ones for like netstat and whatnot. Extended ping though is only available on like Cisco routers and switches and whatnot. Moving up from the breadboard. Yeah, that's when you get to this lovely stuff. Wonderful stuff it is. Brief guide to soldering, indeed. Yes, the warning about the soldering iron getting extremely hot. And if your finger is on it long enough, you get permanent scars, such as one which is now pretty much faded away and the webcam won't be able to see it. But I can just about see it, so it's not a bad scar. It's not like my appendix scar. That thing has left a horrific scar. Then we've got various little things, and prototyping boards and lab stuff. Hee. Slice of pie, that's some prototyping board. Ah, that. Yeah, that's connected to GPIO. There's another header connector. Yeah, because there's all sorts of things you can connect to your Pi. Hey, what do you know? That's the same case I'm using. Ha! Remove the top and then you can just stick circuit boards in it. Yay! There's all kind. Ah, yes, that's the word. Board that can be used to drive like motors and whatnot. Although you could build your own motor drive. There we go. There's an example there of them driving a motor. Just giving you an example of the sort of stuff you can do. Now this will make some good bedtime reading, actually. Just sit there in bed and just chill reading it. That's always fun. My back's itchy. I wonder if anyone actually watches before the new year. Probably not. Will it get uploaded before the new year? That is the question. Yeah. But yeah, it pleases me that there's burn marks on the breadboard. I know I've blown stuff up in the other breadboard and there were sparks. I haven't blown up that much. Kind of disappointing that I don't have more explosion stories of things going wrong. Because most of the time they just go up in smoke, but sometimes you get sparks. But that's only really when you're working with high voltages. Or maybe you accidentally short out a capacitor. They normally go pop. I can demonstrate it actually. Oh, it's fun showing this to my brother. Where is the big ass cat? It's probably back in the cat's case, but I'm going to show you because this entertains me. This is the sort of stuff engineers find fun, or as nerdy as me anyway. Interesting. There we go. It should be charged up. Should be. Yeah, that's definitely charged up now. Look at that, beautiful. Now, watch this. Now we can put our fingers across it safely, but sparks and lots of them. See? That's only with 12 volts. 12.01 volts because I've got my super awesome voltmeter on there. 70s voltmeter. Couldn't harm a fly with it, but because it's in a capacitor stored up, link it up to something, you get some impressive sparks, and that's always fun. It's a good way to demonstrate electricity actually without it actually posing a threat to anyone. As long as you know what you're playing with and you're not like charging up one of the mains and then going doof, because that will hurt and have the potential to kill you. And I do have capacitors which charge up from mains in that box, which can take mains voltage. As long as you put them through a rectifier anyway, because they're not AC, some are. But those ones are so small they wouldn't hold a harmful amount of energy. How is it I managed to ramble on for 44 minutes and it just seems to go by really quickly, the time? It does. I can just ramble on for hours. It's not uncommon. Especially when it gets into things like electronics. Ooh. Everyone who knows me knows not to get me started in electronics, because I can just go on and on and on and on and on for eternity. There's actually quite a few blackened holes in this thing. I've also blown up a few 5.5 timers in this project. That's quite funny. Trouble is, one thing I've noticed about the VFD clock is when components die, they die silently, so you have to sort of hunt round for them. They don't go bang and smoke comes out, sadly. At uni, I've got the remains of a chip which got blown up by having too much power put through it, probably. That's usually what does it, especially when it blows off the top of them. That's like when someone just like, chip, 240 volts, dies, it's exposed. Or the ones on YouTube when you get like Atmel dividing by 0 and someone's just basically overvolting it, so it goes. If dividing by 0 could do that to a microprocessor, it'd be like the dreaded thing for a computer to do. But here's an interesting question. When it comes to the divide by 0, I mean, the Royal Digital here, this will happily divide by 0. So 45 divide 0 equals da 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 da, and it will happily try and work it out. But you do it with any other calculator and it always errors. Now the question is that a response which has been programmed in that if anything is divided by 0, it will just automatically error it and it won't even try to work it out? Or does it actually work it out and realise that it's not, that the sum being requested is not possible? And that's the thing. Is it actually a programmed response? Or is it actually the calculator realising that the sum is impossible? I reckon it's a programmed response. Calculators are just programmed to do that rather than try and work it out, because it's just a waste of time, because it cannot be done. This has been proven so many times now. Mathematicians are always proving it to people like, oh, why don't you try this? But because these people are like, why don't you try this, don't understand the maths behind it, they can't understand the explanations they're given, so there you go. So yeah, pretty much, you can't divide by 0, but is it programmed into the calculator, or does the calculator work it out? I reckon it's programmed. Of course, a calculator of this age, programming technologies were very primitive in the early 70s and weren't really available for such devices. These would have been built from these would be built with custom chips. This is. The old calculator on chip, there's a Husky I need to fix. Whole ton of capacitors there. They all tested good, so I should actually sort them out to capacity. Box. Floppy disk, can't remember what's on it. Yeah. I think it's a good time to call it a day, or a night, or an evening, and play with some fire, because I haven't played with fire for far too long. Far too long. Let's adjust that to dead on 12 volts. So let's point something off. There we go, it's dead on 12. The trouble is the power does fluctuate slightly. Although sticking a big power 6,800 UF power cap on there does help. It would be kind of useful to stick a super cap on there, but the problem is with that is yeah, kind of too low voltages. Normally a super cap will only go to, say, if you're lucky it'll go up to 5 volts, but normally be like something like 1 or 2 or 3 volts. But anyway, I've gone on for far too long. So, as always on these long videos, as I've started off a little tradition of doing, is, if you made it to the end, put in the comments, VFD clock. And one shall know if you made it to the end. And also those references are kind of fun. I wonder when it'll be... But anyway, for now, thanks for watching, and remember, VFD clock. There's a stop button-y thing. At least I haven't changed that to somewhere ridiculous.